Je suis ici au Théâtre National où je viens de rencontrer Andrew McMahon, le chanteur du groupe Jack's Mannequin. Pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas, Andrew McMahon a une histoire quand même assez intéressante. En 2004, alors qu'il faisait partie du groupe Something Corporate, il décide de quitter le groupe pour partir son propre projet solo, Jack's Mannequin. Il écrit l'album au complet et au moment de le sortir, il apprend malheureusement qu'il est atteint de la leucémie. Donc, on s'entend que tournée promotionnelle, cancellée, sortie d'album, pas cancellée, mais il est sorti un petit peu en dessous du radar pendant qu'il était à l'hôpital. L'album est quand même super bien reçu malgré ses déboires de santé et avec chance, et après 2 ans, Andrew McMahon est en rémission de son cancer. En 2008, il retourne en studio pour enregistrer The Glass Passenger, qui vient de sortir le 30 septembre et qu'il nous présente ce soir au National. Juste avant sa prise de son, j'ai eu la chance de m'asseoir avec Andrew pour lui poser quelques questions. Je vous avertis, quand on pose une question à Andrew McMahon, il arrête pas. Il parle.
What's up? I'm Andrew from Jack's Mannequin, and you're watching MusiquePlus.com.
Your record just came out named The Glass Passenger.
That's correct.
I was wondering, is that how you felt when you're going through all the sort of the hardships that you went through? Or is it just now that you've been through it, that's how everyone in this world is, in this crazy journey of life?
It's kind of a combination of the two. It started as sort of a self-referencing thing. I wrote this song that was actually a direct reference to the time I had spent leading up to when I got sick. This time, Jack's Mannequin was on the road. We were touring around the country in a van, and I wasn't sure why I didn't feel well. I was playing shows every night, and the song that I wrote, which didn't actually end up on the record, the lyric was "Keep your eyes on the road. I'm a glass passenger, and I sing for a traveling band." And the idea just being that I was sort of being carried around and had no idea how fragile I really was. And I wrote the lyric. Didn't end up keeping the song, but I remember putting it aside and kind of journaling it down in my notebook, and kind of saying this could apply to something somewhere down the line.
Do you find that being sick has sort of like overshadowed everything that you do now? I mean, we can't hear anything about Jack's Mannequin without referencing, right?
No, I know. Well, and I was just talking to the other reporter about that, and there's a point where there's a point where you, not to say resent it, but where it frustrates you a little bit. But I think luckily for me, because a lot of the art is tied into it. The fact is, I got sick, but I think people the fact that I got sick during Everything in Transit, it's like in some ways or another, people started really listening to Everything in Transit, and because I think some of these themes popped up throughout the record, and it drew people into the art. At least if people are going to be so focused on the element of what happened to me and what happened to my health along the way, the fact that at least it's drawn them into my music and they're listening to it, I can't really fight that.
In regards to the dissolution of Something Corporate,
right?
I know that initially you said you had written a song and it just didn't fit with Something Corporate. Do you find that 4 years later and after writing 2 records that still rings true?
It's funny. That's kind of like a what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of conversation. I think with me, I started feeling like songs wouldn't work with Something Corporate because I felt like, and very mutually so with the rest of the band, we felt like Something Corporate all of a sudden wasn't really working. We as a group of dudes who are still very close friends, and were even close friends at the time that we decided to put the band on a break, we chose to do that out of responsibility, I think, to our friendships.
Was it a concern for you when you started Jack's Mannequin and going out on the road with another band, like different guys? Was that sort of in the back of your mind?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, of course. The idea that people might not want to, listen anymore. The idea that I had built this thing that was so successful. I mean, by the time we sort of put Something Corporate on hold, we had sold close to 1 million records. It was to make that kind of a decision is a difficult decision to make. But I think in that same sense, my responsibility has always been to my songwriting, and has always been to trying to make the best art that I can make. And it forces you to be, not to try and make things that are going to just make people, feel like you've lived up to their expectations, but it forces you to make things that you know, live up to your own expectations of yourself.
Right. And did you achieve that on this record?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it'll probably take another year and a good listen once I've had some separation. You know, I think the thing about The Glass Passenger that I find so charming, you know, compared to, not to say compared to any of my other records, but I think that's different from my other records, is that is very human. It wasn't really about as much evolving a sound, which I think, you know, Transit was really like, I wanted to have a sound. I wanted it to be, you know, I wanted it to be an album that when people think about California pop music, they think about everything in Transit. You know, I wanted that. With The Glass Passenger, I wanted people to take a feeling away from it. You know, I'll be perfectly honest, I hadn't even read Twilight when I got involved with Stephanie. I had a handful of close friends approach me and say, you know, there's this woman who's written these like amazingly impactful pop culture vampire novels, you know what I mean? And she loves what you've done. We've seen on her website that you're in her playlist, and she's quoted you guys as inspiration for certain characters on her in her books. And I said, why don't we reach out to this author? She's an author. Not only is she an author, but she's an author whose aesthetic has reached millions of people, and we're looking for a story. That's what we're missing. And so we called a friend of ours who knew Stephanie, reached out to her, and she wrote 2 treatments for us, one of which we ended up using for the video, and she came out and co-directed the video, and she killed it. You know, I mean, I love it. I think she did an amazing job, and then of course I read Twilight after, you know, in the process leading up to that. But yeah, I mean, I think she's fantastic, and I have to commend anybody who has the ability, like I said, to connect and communicate across so many lines. You know, that's what we try and do every day with music, is reach as many people as possible, and she clearly has done that.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you very much.